Hello everyone. So, I thought about doing a different kind of video today. Obviously by the title, we're going to be talking about how to pick a boot camp to learn to code from, but we're going to focus on one specific trait of boot camps for deciding in this video. So basically if you're in a situation where you're like, I want to learn to code, I need to get a better job, I want to get into this field, I don't care what stack, I just want to code. I want to learn to code, get me started. I need a job, basically. So we're going to be looking, and this is going back how I would make my selection. And if I was in this mentality, we're going to look basically just at these outcomes, and that's how I would decide where to go. I'm not really going to be reviewing multiple schools here. I'm just going to stick to Lambda School since that's where I go, and the reason I learned about what we're going to be discussing today. But you could go through this and do the same process with multiple different schools if you are in the market to find a school to go to. So the first step here is we're going to go to the lambdaschool.com/outcomes, and this is down the page a little bit. You got all the typical stuff there, but we mostly want numbers because numbers don't lie. So for step one, I would definitely say go to the school or the boot camp site and see what they publish, see what they're saying is happening. As we can see here with Lambda, this is for the full stack web cohorts, the first 4 of them, and this is for full-time. Part-time doesn't have any statistics up right here. But the first cohort has been 100% hired. I actually do remember that announcement in Slack when that happened. Second one's about 88% hired, 71%, and then 75%. One thing I will say, and I would assume, just for safety reasons, that this would apply across schools, that this is probably not going to be always up to date because people can get hired the day after they publish these numbers and suddenly it's changed. Especially if you're talking with a coding bootcamp or something smaller where there's not, 500 to 1,000 students graduating. I know some of these cohorts here, I think, are in the ballpark of 50 people, so each person is, a number of percentage there. But the meat and potatoes here of what I want to talk about was CIRR.org, and this is the Council on Integrity in Results Reporting. Basically, they like to put out numbers from different schools and boot camps and stuff that are willing to work with them. This is their about page right here. We can see some of the schools that they have information on, like Full Stack Academy here, Hack Reactor, Lambda, obviously. You can just see some of the different, Thankful is on here. Just different places that you can go to learn, and they have data on. So if we go now to the data section, you got all these PDFs here where you can scroll through. It has the year, they're grouped by year, and the school, so you can go through. I believe it looks like 2018 is the first one that Lambda actually did, so that's the one we're going to be looking at, which I already have open up here in this tab. So you find the school and you find the outcomes report. This will be the PDF you'll kind of be getting here. We got the school name, which is Lambda School. It's a online campus, and the program we're going to be looking at is full stack web development. I don't believe it says anywhere in here, but this is also, like I said, for full-time. This is not part-time data. So I just want to make that clear, considering I am a part-time student, and the vast majority of the Lambda information I put out is about the part-time curriculum. But it tells you the reporting period here, and this number here is the course length, including weekends and holidays. So this is not the number of classes that you'll be in. This is like from start to finish if you counted every single day. So you're looking at 225 days, and there were 71 graduates included in this report. So like I said, you got 71 people. Each one of those people make a percentage, so these numbers probably change relatively frequently. Ideally, unless people just aren't getting hired at all, but that's not what we want. Goes through the graduation requirements here. I'm probably not really going to go through these. And then we got graduation data. How many students graduate within 100% of the published program length or on time? So basically, how many students graduated got hired within those 200 and No, that is the graduation date. I'm sorry. Yeah, how many of them graduate on time? That's over half. And then 80% graduate within time and a half. Remember, Lambda's on a mastery-based program, so these numbers don't surprise me because you don't advance until you master the topic and can demonstrate that. So the amount of time you actually would spend at Lambda versus, I don't know if this applies to other boot camps. I don't know what their progression and grading systems are, but at Lambda, it can be really customizable how long you are attending. What are the employment results for graduates seeking jobs? This is the big thing. So we got two columns. We got the 90-day column and we got the 180-day column. So the first category is employed in field. So obviously this would be people getting hired as developers, engineers, programmers, coders, whatever you want to call them, somewhere working with the skills they've learned. So we got a total of within 90 days, 60.9% was hired in the field, and then double that into 180 days, and 85.9% were hired into the field. You're looking at 42.2%, so the majority of the 90-day students that were hired got hired full-time, which is 30 hours or more a week, and then 62.5% of the 180-day students got full-time as well. So this is a lot of students. This is, within 180 days, the majority have been employed full-time. And then if we tack in full-time apprenticeship, internship, or contract positions, you see we got about 10 to 20% here, depending on the length of time you want to look at that. So if we tack that on within 90 days, you're looking about 55% people getting paid, and then 180 days, that bumps up closer to 80%. Or, well, I'm sitting here trying to do this math when we have these totals up here, but this also counts down here, I believe. Oh no, they do have a separate one. See, learning as we go. So you may have noticed what I just said. This is now employed not in the field. We got 39.1% and then 14.1% for the same 90-day, 180-day period. 37.5% are still seeking a job while they're not employed. That goes to 12.5 after 180 days. And then 1.6 for both of those is not seeking a job in the field. And going back to what I was saying, I feel like this is probably one, maybe two students. There's probably one or two people out of that class that's not looking to go into the field for one reason or another. So graduation wise, the number plays in your odds that if you go to Lambda School, you can look at within 180 days of graduation, you should have a job, unless you fall into that, roughly 14% that for whatever reason have not been employed. So now the fun thing is this employment worth taking? So it's the median annual base salary of graduates. So median here, we got 55,000 and 60,000 are the numbers for the median, but we get this broken down into categories and percentages again. So only 17% is making under 40,000 here in this 90-day range, and then you can read the columns at this point. And then we got 40 to 50,000 looks like one of the bigger chunks here, which is 23.5 and 22.2. And we got 50 to 60,000 is going to be about 15% of the hires. And then it looks like we got very people in the 60 to 80,000 range, at least in this report. So because there's no one in the 70 to 80,000, so we got, for that whole 20,000 group, we got 5.9% and 11.1%, because those won't make a difference. Okay, so we got over 80,000. Now this is the comforting part to the emptiness here, is that the biggest numbers we see is over 80,000. But the catch to that is, and that's why these numbers down here don't inherently bother me. I live in Southwest Virginia, so my cost of living really isn't that high. My only issue is that I don't have jobs around here that pay much more than minimum wage. So, for me, making 50 to 70,000 is actually not bad at all. That would be pretty comfortable. Obviously, I have to plan my money right and not spend more than my means, but that's not undoable by any means where I live. Now that being said, you fall into this 40% making 80,000, but you live in San Francisco or San Jose, those type of California areas and other places that have really high cost of living. Your take home, it may not be as much as someone like me. Like I said, like making 60,000 here, I may actually have more in pocket cash than someone making the base 80,000 here living in California. So those are things to look at, is remember where you're either living or where you're looking that you would like to move to or live while you work. Always check the cost of living. So factor that in when you're looking at this number data. So down here, I apologize about that. I don't know what my cat's doing. The most frequent job titles for graduates is software engineer, software developer, web developer, developer, and front-end engineer. All titles I personally would gladly take. But that's, in descending order from 35, 20, 14, 11, 9%. Only, barely, I'll note it's barely, but less than 5% of the students here had prior computer science degrees. And that, ultimately, I'm not saying that as a outspeak towards Lambda. I'm saying that as, a tech thing as a whole. Don't worry if you haven't been to college or if you didn't finish college or any of those type of things. If you, for whatever reason, you're not a degree holder, that's nothing to worry about here. As you can see, of this data, 5% tops had a prior computer science degree. So, now I know probably looking at just this one report in isolation, may not mean the most to you. I mean, you can kind of tell what numbers are good, what numbers are bad type of thing, but you don't know what, is the norm. But like I say, I'm obviously not looking for a school, but if you were, then what you could do is come back here and it's like, okay, so that's what Lambda's got going on. Well, I've also heard a lot about Hack Reactor. Let's see what their numbers are, and then you can come here and you can just go through the same thing. Hack Reactor, it's actually located physically in San Francisco for full stack web development, same period. It's a much shorter class, but they have a lot more graduates, so you have a shorter time frame with more students involved. And so here's just an example for extrapolating for numbers. For me personally, I like the smaller group size. I like the more open communication to feel like my voice is heard, as well as, just like I said, that direct line of communication between me, my project manager, or my section lead, or my instructor. I really like that. So for me, if I looked at this, I'm like, wow, I'm spending a really short time with a lot of people. This is almost, triple. It might be triple. What the Lambda graduates were, but I don't know how Hack Reactor divides up their classes, so they could be small cohorts but have a lot of them, and they could have large cohorts and actually still handle communication fine. I don't know. It's just like I said, you can look at these numbers and kind of think about how that could affect what you're looking for from a bootcamp or a school. And then down here we can actually check the hard data on, well, what's most likely going to happen to me if I graduate from this place, because for here, if you go to Hack Reactor, just look at these median salaries. At the same time, though, this goes back to what I was saying. Remember, we're looking at somewhere that's physically based in San Francisco, California. That means that they're probably working with people living in California, and people are being hired in California. So like I was saying about that 80,000 not being too terribly much in those areas, now we look at these numbers from under 90,000 to over 130,000. So it's a bigger number, but like I said, just remember to factor in that cost of living. So I hope this helps you if you're in the process of deciding what coding bootcamp to go to, and can give you a little more information. Like I said, this is specifically if you're looking at what's going to happen to me after I graduate. I'll probably do a couple other videos about this on how to pick a school, by looking at curriculums and other factors you may want to consider. But just isolating this down to, will I get a job? I think this would be a good way to start your decision-making process. So thank you all for watching. I hope this enjoyed you. I hope this enjoyed you. No, I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe it helped you out a little bit. Maybe you learned about the CIRR documents, because like I said, this is relatively new to me, but I love this idea. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and I will see you all in the next video.